Well, this morning I ran into another early orchid. It's called a heart-leaved twayblade. And even though they're pretty common around here, you don't see them very often because they're so small, really small, and it's easily overlooked. They like the same kind of environment that the calypsos do. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen them side by side with the calypsos at times. But they're so small that you can step on them real easily and not even realize they're around. I've got one patch here that I've actually discovered about 3 years ago walking through here in the fall, and saw the seed pods and marked it on my GPS, and I have come back the last 3 years since then, and has been very consistent. There's been one bunch of them here that's been in the same place ever since. It's one hummock here. Today I counted 10 plants here within about a 2 foot by 2 foot square area. Again, very small. Actually, it's a lot easier to find them than rather than looking for the flowers, which are almost invisible, especially from above, to the basal leaves. There are two basal leaves that grow opposite of each other from the stem, fairly close to the ground, and if you can find those basal leaves, then you'll be surprised to find that there's actually a grouping of flowers that's on top of that. So again, heart-leaved twayblade is absolutely a gorgeous little flower. Again, this is one that if you see in the books, you'll see macro shots of it, and it looks like a fairly good-sized flower, but in the photos that I have accompanying this, you'll see that they're actually quite small. The flowers themselves are only about a 1/16th to an 1/18th of an inch across, very small, but it actually a beautiful flower when you can get up close to them. This image really shows how difficult finding these particular orchids are. They're so small. You can see the total height there is 5 inches, but the flower portion, which is almost invisible, takes up the majority of that. You can see the basal leaves here. Those are actually what you look for when you are out there searching for these particular orchids. After I took some photos and video at this spot, I looked around and actually found several dozen within 100 feet of where these pictures were taken. So there are a lot of them out there. Hadn't planned on going through here today. I'm on a trip down a little towards mid-state where I grew up, and happened to be going by here and thought, well, as long as I'm here, I'll swing by and see what I can find. So I did find the twayblades. I also looked in one of my calypso spots and was pleased to find half a dozen of them there. And one of them, the white variety that I've only seen here and I've only seen once before. So not entirely rare, but fairly uncommon. So I'm real pleased to be able to have seen that again this year. Last year was the only other time that I'd ever seen it, so it's 2 years in a row now that I've seen the white variety of this. So really enjoy that. Well, we got a bonus today. Ran into these hookers there, orchids, and along the trail here, the hiking trail, there are several dozen. They're just beginning to open up. I would think that they would be fully open within 3 or 4 days. They're an early orchid. They are not a real exciting type of orchid because they grow to about 10, sometimes 12 inches tall, and they're entirely green. There's no other color to them, so a lot of times they go unnoticed because there's nothing that really brings you into the visual plane of what you might be looking for in regards to most of the other orchids. These like high ground. I've never seen them in a swamp. Right now I'm in an area where there are white pine, red pine, mostly white pine, a few balsam, a lot of needles on the ground here, which would tell me that maybe a little bit acidic soil would be something that they would like to be in. And like all the other orchids, they love to have a little bit of opening, filtered light, not direct sunlight, but filtered light, so that if you know what you're looking for, again, what you may find is these orchids along trails that you would be hiking, or in areas of the forest where you have some open forest floor with a big canopy above. So Hooker's orchid, exciting for me to find it today because I didn't expect to see them quite yet. This is the earliest that I've actually seen them, but usually not too far down the line. So if they aren't open by now, usually within the next week or so is when I would typically hope to find them. So today is June 1st. It's been a good day. It's been a 3 orchid day today. So for this time of year, that's really good. I was hoping maybe to find one more, but I haven't seen any indication of that yet. Early coral rut should be out within the next few days, and we'll keep an eye out for that. Haven't seen it yet, but should be soon.
As with the twayblades, it might be easier to find some Hooker's orchids by looking for the basal leaves. Again, it's a bilateral leaf that looks fairly large down towards the ground. I should also remind people that I am doing my filming and my instruction from up in northeast Minnesota. What we find up here might be a little bit different than if you're in a different part of the state. But for the most part, what I have to say here will apply, except for probably the dates, to just about anywhere in the state. So thanks for watching. Enjoy.